All right, so the goal of this project really is to collect ecological and social data in tandem to identify salt marsh restoration outcomes for each and how they interrelate. So really what we're trying to do is inform future restoration by end users by giving them an idea of what they're doing well and not so well based on the environmental data that they're collecting, and to include and serve the community by assessing how people perceive those restoration outcomes. So I first wanted to recognize our end user partners who are absolutely integral in developing the project, and that's Paul Engelmeyer with the Wetlands Conservancy, Sean Struhler and Saber with the South Slough NERRS. So the restoration process requires constantly learning and improving our methods in an effort to improve ecological function and habitat restoration, but there's generally not much funding available for long-term monitoring post-restoration. So it's necessary to ensure that the data that is collected will inform how effective a restoration is and how to improve future restoration. However, this idea of efficacy of restoration is complicated because success means different things to different people. And I'll hand it over to Melissa, our social science lead, to talk a little bit about the needs on the social side.
Yeah, so our research question in terms of the social science is to understand not just people's perceptions of whether they like or dislike marsh restoration, but also how access to these marsh restoration sites influence people's sense of place and place attachment, people who live there and work there. So we will be conducting focus groups with end users such as yourself, but also have in the room people who organize volunteer groups who go to these restoration sites, people who harvest Dungeness crab, oysters, fisher. I was on the phone with fisher people all morning long, inviting them to the focus groups to understand their perceptions and to try to get the full spectrum. And our project sites were here in Oregon. And on the Oregon coast, we chose 3 sites that represent mid-coast and south coast marshes in Yaquina Bay, Alsea Bay, and Coos Bay. And so we will be having 3 focus groups, 1 focus group in each site with 15 people. We'll be collecting qualitative and quantitative data. So qualitative data, just simply asking folks questions about what they like and dislike about marsh restoration, but also to collect quantitative data, we have something called a Q-sort. A Q-sort is like a forced survey where folks will get a set of statements and they will have to force rank them. And we can then score them and have a list of numerical data to then compare to the ecological data.
Whoops. So on the ecological side, I went forward, but I don't know how to go back, so I'll just talk about it. In addition to relying on reports and previous data, we're also going to be going out to take vegetation measurements at the end of the summer at restored sites within these 3 Oregon bays. And from that, we'll distill commonly used metrics and project methodology like implementation methods and use these data along with conversations with restoration managers to score restoration projects according to their stated project goal. We'll then compare the ecological and the social data to get an idea of whether the measured metrics and outcomes of the projects from an ecological viewpoint align with the social perceptions and metrics derived from the focus group data. And by collecting these 2 data types simultaneously and linking them, we'll not only be able to identify areas of improvement for ecological metrics and restoration design, but also improve communication with the public and other end users about restoration by coming up with key talking points and methods for outreach. So some deliverables, specific deliverables include the formation of an advisory group, which is completed, and the focus groups, which are happening in August. and also some specific tools for practitioners, like a matrix that links ecological metrics with their social counterparts to really facilitate communication between our end users and the public. And of course, academic deliverables like papers and presentations on the perceptions of restoration success and the process of linking these two data types.